Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. I want to remind everyone not to use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. Therapy is great. We all need it from time to time. Let's watch the show.
Embarrassing to be crying.
What's embarrassing?
To be crying by myself when my fiance is laying in bed and I'm crying on the patio and you hear me and you still just get in bed and you don't care.
Just fucking woke up and then it just feels like it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, there's a lot. I don't know what's embarrassing for you if...
I just told you I...
All right, so at the beginning of episode 7, they're continuing this scene, which is, I don't know, kind of unpleasant to watch, honestly. It's a broken record. I think what's happening is what I was saying before, at least I think, is that for Madison, something's going on. We don't know what it is. Some of it is rational, understandable, some of it maybe not. Can't know unless I was to talk with her and see an unedited version or something. But my suspicion is that she is insecure and has some worries that are understandable, but maybe a little exaggerated, maybe just by the sheer fact that she's on a reality TV show and she's with a guy that she doesn't really know that well. So it could be not really her personality, but just the scenario. I don't know. But I think there were a lot of things that were triggering that for her. Joe wasn't helping in that his way and how drunk he was at the get-together at the pool party and stuff, and the way that he was treating her. And I mean, it wasn't horrific, but it was, I could see someone being like, does he like me? I don't know. And then she like wakes him up and immediately just starts asking me all these questions. And in the beginning, she's saying that she's trying to help him, but looking at it now, it seems like she did have some kind of an agenda. She was looking for maybe she didn't even know what she was looking for, but she wasn't because if she was just there to help, she'd be like, hey, do you want some water? Here's some water. And then he'd be like, or are you sure you're okay? Because you were kind of confused. And if you say, yeah, I'm fine. And then, okay, just leave him in bed and go on with your night or go to bed yourself or something. But looking at it, it almost kind of looks like she was looking for a fight or something. I don't know. I don't tend to see things through that lens, but that is something that people will do. They're not looking for a fight. They want an interaction. They want something to happen. It's intolerable for there to just be bland nothingness or no contact, and so they'll take any kind of contact. They also feel hurt and they don't have anything to grab onto that's really definitive, and so they'll kind of manufacture it, and then if something happens, then they'll be, oh, and now that's why I'm upset. When they started out upset, they started out worried or hurt or something, maybe because of her history, maybe because of Joe, maybe because of the situation. Anyway, it's just continuing that way. Joe is not helping, given that he's still probably drunk or at least hungover and he just woke up. I think he's handling it at times okay. Because it's hard to know what to do. I mean, the best thing you can do is just go to her, hug her, and say like, hey, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry that I was drunk. I'm sorry I was tired. I guess I woke up funny, and that happens sometimes with me. I love you, and, I'm here for you. Something like that. That's, asking a lot, given that as soon as he becomes coherent, she's kind of yelling at him, saying that she's really sad, and she's crying, and he's just like, what's happening? So, that's just the way it's just prolonged. And yeah, I mean, it's not a high crime for either one of them, and now she's kind of talking about embarrassment. Yeah. And it just had that kind of look where the camera crew, because there were a number of cameras. It'd be one thing if there's just one camera, but there were at least 3 cameras, and then, the production. She's coming back from the party and she goes into the bedroom, and there's 3 cameras. So she must have gone in there with the purpose of having some kind of a scene. I don't know.
Embarrassing Joe. Why is that funny? That's not funny.
It's not funny. It's not funny.
Then why are you laughing?
It's not funny. That's not funny at all. That's why it's funny.
Yeah, I think this is, I don't know what it is actually, but this is consistent with other behavior. It could be him uncomfortable and he tends to laugh. I think there's a good chance that that's true. And he doesn't think it's actually funny. There's also a chance that he absolutely does think that it's funny, because it does have the look of a guy that's just like, why am I here? Oh my God, this is so dumb. I'm so whatever, ha ha ha, that kind of immatureness of it. But there's another possibility that he's, because in conflict, there's a lot of different ways in which people react. Sometimes people will smile either sarcastically or in a hostile way, or just coping, or just like, oh my God, like, what are we doing? We don't know what it is, but this is pretty consistent. She's, laser focused on it. It just kind of looks like she just wants things to escalate.
But it's not,
What?
it's fucking no way. I can't believe you're doing this right now. Like,
Me? Me?
Yeah.
I'm doing this?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know if there's much to say, because I think I'll just be saying the same thing. So I think I'll watch and assume you saw the scene, and I'll chime in if anything different happens.
Well, you tell me that I'm doing something to you when I've done nothing but come in and care.
I was asleep.
Okay, you were asleep. You know what? I'm gonna go sleep in another room then, because you can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe you're doing this.
What do you need from me?
I've told you.
I don't want
I've told you what I.
Okay, so it was not the best attempt, but it was an attempt, and we should compliment him for that he's trying. She's saying, I'm out because I can't believe what you're doing to me. He says, what do you need from me? It's a great question. There's other ways of delivering that, going to her, hey, come on. I don't know what happened. Let's say it's all my fault. I don't know. But I love you. It's okay. Presumably he does love her, right? It certainly doesn't seem that way, but presumably he does. So, that would be the thing to do. If we're thinking about our own lives, because we wouldn't be in a situation, that's what we would contemplate doing, right? That can go a long way. But it is a good attempt. What do you need from me? And then she says, I've told you what I needed. And then he says, I don't want you to leave. So he's doing the right things here.
I need it.
No, I just don't know why you're so fucking angry at me.
Joe, I've told you 6 times.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I watched episode 6, but it's pretty fresh in my mind. And maybe it was edited out. Maybe there was something there, but I don't know, 6 times. Is she referring to the fact that he was confused when he woke up and he asked the same question 4 times, because I just want to remind you all that when he first woke up, he was terrified. So, where am I? What's happening? What's that? He was terrified. So he was, very quickly, abruptly woken up, and he's probably still half drunk, and he's in a strange place. He was, and then he proceeded to be like, what's happening? And he asked a question 4 times because he's still groggy and waking up and drunk.
I feel like this just isn't warranted.
Now, I want to be clear. Her concern for him being too drunk and going to sleep is a rational worry, right? Where's the line? What was actually happening? That sort of thing. So it's not strange to be concerned for him. It's not strange to be concerned that he's having some sort of cognitive brain event when he's asking the same question over again. It looked just like he was groggy and a little drunk to me, but I wouldn't know that for sure. And so her concern would be, it seems like she's determined to be in a fight, but that's a phrase that I'm not a fan of. People don't typically want to be in a fight. It might kind of look that way, and that might even be one of the movements that they're involved in, but really there's a deeper thing that they're seeking. Reassurance, contact, communication, trying to provoke him to do something one way or the other, testing the situation. These are motivations, not necessarily I want to be in a fight.
I don't know. I feel like this is, I don't know.
This is such shit.
Now, I haven't been saying this, but there's a chance that she's heavily intoxicated, or at least intoxicated enough that she's not thinking straight, because she's saying, this is such shit. Again, we don't know the full edit, but what, I mean, could it be hurtful? Sure. I say all that because maybe the next day she'll wake up and be like, yeah, I don't know. And then they'll reconnect and everything will be fine. And then they'll say, yes, yes, at the altar. I don't think so, but.
Probably had my limit for sure, so I left. I feel like that was a good thing to do.
Okay, so he's acknowledging that he drank too much or his limit, so at least he's admitting that part of it.
I don't know. Like, I definitely could have got up and done something. I just don't know what she wanted. I have no idea what she wanted, so.
Yeah, surprisingly concise, understandable way of putting it. I just didn't know what she wanted. If he were trying for the relationship, he could say something like, I'm worried I'm going to lose her, and I don't want to lose her, something like that. But I don't think he cares enough. And maybe that's the point that she is feeling, that he isn't doing anything horribly wrong, but he's also not showing any sort of effort to reach out, right? Now, we wouldn't expect someone as they're being attacked and as they're waking up to do that, right? There's a lot of different types of crying. I can't obviously read people's minds based on the way that they're crying, but I would guess that right now she's thinking it's happening again, and it's humiliating, and it's hurtful, and this will always be happening to me, one way or the other. That's the kind of crying that I think it is. So which person would I rather be in this scenario? It sounds funny. I'm saying this because whatever we think about Madison and how she handled the situation, she's suffering a great deal.
I actually had a great time with Nick. Once I saw Nick and Annie, I was like, no, this makes sense. I was...
All right, so they started the scene in the middle of a conversation. So I don't know what's happening. She's crying, but they're laughing. So let's watch.
I was Team Brendan, and then I saw Annie. I was like, no, this fucking makes sense. It's the universe. Like,
yeah, but I want you to be there for me.
Well, what do you need?
All right, so more clear communication between the two of them, which is good. And I think she's a little intoxicated, and she is, which is fine. It doesn't mean that she's impaired to the extent that we can't trust what she's saying. Maybe she's impaired to the extent that we can trust even more so what she's saying. And she's saying, I need you to be there for me. And he, with eye contact, he's not getting upset or anything. He's like, okay, what do you need from me? That's good.
I don't know.
No, you can't use the I don't know card. What do you need? I need you to communicate.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know, but I think Megan comes from a family that might not have a lot of open emotional communication. She basically said things along those lines. It would make sense if that were true. I'm not saying it was abusive or anything, but just not a lot of that in her family and growing up. And she, or maybe lower than average or lower than optimal or something. So she says, I need you to be there for me. And then he said, okay, well, what do you need from me? And she says, I don't know. Now, some people would just say, I was like, I don't know, let me think. But didn't really sound like it. She's just like, I don't know. And that's okay. Maybe it's just like, I don't really know how to put it into words, or I haven't really thought about it. But I just know that I just need you to be there for me or something. It's okay. But if you say something like that, I need you to be there for me, kind of saying, you're really not there for me, or there's been some signs you're not there for me. Because I think they were talking about the party. And I think if I was taking a guess, I think Megan feels like at the party, he wasn't really there for her, or wasn't connected, or it felt like there was some distance or something. And she says, I need you to be there for me. And you can't just say, I don't know what that means. Now you can say, I don't know, let me think, or I don't know, I'm sorry, or I don't know, let's explore it, but you can't just plop that on someone's lap and say, like, I need you to be there for me. When they ask for any, in the way that he did, he's just like, well, what do you need? What's specific? I don't know. Okay. So then he says, and this is great. So when we study couples, and in my office, I'm looking for these things as well, that there's so many different ways we can respond. There are so many. It might feel like a natural way that Jordan is responding, but it is not. There are so many whys in the road. He could have, when she said that, I don't know, he could have been like, oh, really? What am I supposed to do with that? Okay, that's one demeanor. There's thousands of others, but what he did, let's rewind that. What he did was like, oh, no. And then still lighthearted, but still clear and open. And no, you can't get away with that. So tell me, drawing her out, eye contact, physical contact, smiling. So A+. Let's rewind that.
I don't know.
No, you can't use the I don't know card. What do you need? I need you to communicate.
I wanted us to be like that power couple and for us to connect.
Power couple? I don't know what she means by that. But what? No. Power couple? Maybe she just mean, well, what could that possibly mean? I mean, I have my cultural understanding of what that means, but I'm guessing what she means is that the vision that you have of certain power couples, like, I don't know, Ryan Reynolds and what's her name? Those kind of power couples, the way that they present, the way that they seem on Instagram, that's interesting. I wonder if that's the case. She's not, well, I don't know. I was going to say she's not that much younger than me, but she is. I of course that makes sense that for a lot of people that are this age and particularly younger, their models, particularly if they didn't see it in their household, their models of what a healthy relationship to strive for would be on Instagram, would be on TikTok, and power couples are the couples that people follow. They're also the couples that will probably spend more time posting things because they're just interested in that, or they're getting attention, or it's part of their brand, or they have sponsors or something. And I think that's what she might be saying. But if she's saying, I want to be a power couple that, well, that could be what she's saying too, of like image, how things look. There's nothing wrong with it. No one wants to go to a party with their spouse and look like they're a horrible couple. But if that's what you have at the top of your list of priorities, like, so, and she's intoxicated, but anyway, they're communicating.
And I feel like everybody else was that and we weren't.
What? Really? Interesting. Why did you feel that way, though?
Yeah, I love that they're communicating. I don't understand why she's saying that. I understand why he said what, but take note of their demeanor, both of them. When we think about the previous scene with Madison and Joe, the way Madison talked to Joe, the way Joe talked to Madison, you could argue that a very similar thing is happening, where she feels worried about their connection or about their relationship or the way that things look. I mean, Madison was saying that too. There's a completely different way in which she's communicating about it. Megan is smiling, allowing jokes to happen, maybe even joking herself, eye contact, contemplative, not accusatory, not like you are doing something. It's like, I want us to be this way. And you can see right now she's like thinking, because this might be one of the very first times, if not the only time she's ever thought about this. She's talked about her previous relationships as not really heading towards marriage. I said that funny, but you know what I'm saying. So, and also, they're on TV and blah, blah, blah. So let's rewind this.
You can't use the I don't know card. What do you need? I need you to communicate.
I wanted us to be like that power couple and for us to connect. And I feel like everybody else was that and we weren't.
What? Really? Interesting.
Yeah. So the way that he reacts, like, what? Really? Interesting. So he's reacting spontaneously, like, what? But he could be like, what? Contempt. What are you talking about? As opposed to, what? Really? And then he says, really? Interesting. So that is saying, tell me more. I'm not discounting what you're saying, but I can't relate to it. That's pretty shocking. Tell me more. This is what helps relationships. And you could imagine someone in his shoes feeling insulted, hurt, accused. And he might actually be feeling those things, but to assume that's happening, to overreact, to be too defensive, unhelpful. So he's like, oh, really interesting. Tell me more.
Why did you feel that way, though? Like, you felt like Joe and Madison were the power couple.
No.
You felt like KB and Edmund were the power couple.
I don't know. Like, I thought it was all jokes and like you were trying to be funny and
Right. This is what I was guessing was that it was the first time seeing Jordan or imagining Jordan in a social situation where he's not paying attention to her, right? I'm not saying it's a narcissistic thing or a self-centered thing, but I could see anyone in Megan's shoes being like, this is him? I didn't know. Wow, this is... to me, it just kind of looked like Jordan was playing off of Joe's thing. Like if Joe wasn't around, it would have been a lot less. But, you know, Jordan is kind of a goofy guy. So I think there was a prolonged period of time there. Like I could imagine if they do work out, I could imagine a year from now or even just a couple months from now that the same thing could happen and Megan would feel secure enough in their relationship that she'd be like, oh, he's doing that thing again. Anyway, I'll be over here talking with my friends and, you know, he can do that thing. I'm sure my wife does that with me sometimes. I have friends that have partners where I'm sure that they do that. But you're more secure, you're kind of more used to it, whereas this is the first time. So I imagine that that's what's happening. And it might feel like, oh, you know, I was hoping for kind of a vibe, or I would hope she's not thinking of image because that's bullshit. It's not helpful. It's unreasonable to demand that. But if she's just talking about like, I want to feel together, then yeah, absolutely.
fun with the guys, and I get that that's you, but I need you to be there for me.
I'll do better, I promise.
Okay, so yeah, I think she was specific enough. He seems to understand. I think I get what she's saying. And again, her communicating it, eye contact, there's so many ways she could have said that. And there's probably a lot of thoughts in her head. Like, ew, ick, I have the ick. Right? Or, what were you doing? You think that's funny? There's just so many ways in which people tend to act in situations like this. And we're seeing an example that we can use as a jumping off point. There's so many options available when we are in a situation like this, is the thing. And if you can be differentiated, and if you're actually trying to fix, she wants him to change. The way she did it is much more likely to cause him to change than if she were like Madison, the way she talked to Joe, right? The way that Madison is saying it, or the way that Megan is saying it, is eye contact, not accusatory, not hostile, you know, a little jokey here and there of just like, we can laugh, but she's also crying. She's communicating, she's open, crying, and he's listening. And I think he understood, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. So it's rare that we see this kind of thing on the show. Now, let's imagine that Megan is being unreasonable. You know, we don't really know, but let's imagine that Madison and Megan were both being unreasonable. I don't know. It doesn't sound great to say out loud, but let's just go with that thought experiment. It doesn't matter if you're unreasonable. It doesn't matter if your partner's unreasonable. It only matters how you fucking communicate it. We are always unreasonable, almost always under circumstances like this. We are unreasonable. It's not logic that we're trying to chase here. It's how do you request something? How do you love your partner? How do you change your partner? And we just saw an example of that. Yeah, they just made a massive leap in my estimation of their viability. I still can't really know, but wow, like the two of them, great. And pulling for them. I mean, I was kind of pulling for Allie and Anton, but there just wasn't, I was just kind of by default, really. KB and Edmund as well, you know, maybe not so much anymore, but still, you know, I'm still pulling for them. And Madison and Joe, no. Annie and Nick, hard to feel great, but who knows. But now I'm really pulling for Megan and Jordan. Come on, give us hope. And I'll point out, I love you, kiss, affection, in the midst of conflict, requests, crying. You know, she's hurt, she's crying. She's been upset for a while. And just high differentiation, high maturity, even while they're drunk. Yeah. Maybe the alcohol, with some people when they drink, it's actually easier for them. Some people when they drink, I don't recommend it obviously, but for some people, if they're in the right mood, it can help. And maybe it did for her. Because I wonder if she were sober, if she would be a little bit more defensive. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out.
And I'm sure that was jarring. I can understand that.
I don't want you to feel abandoned at all. I apologize for that. I won't let that happen again. I should have came out and made it better. Held you. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So they're getting together the next day, and they're both being kind to each other. He apologized. I don't want you to feel abandoned. I should have come to you and held you. I agree if he wanted to make things better. I understand why he was a little confused, but yeah, that would have been the good move for him. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have a ton of confidence. There's a chance that they're making up legitimately. There's a chance they're making up because they want to stay on the show. There's a chance that they're making up because they want to see if they can get back what they had. I don't know. It's hard to know. I guess we'll find out. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.